This is the Fitzgerald Fodder tower or Fodder system. I'll use those interchangeably. It's pretty simple. There's a pump inside of this reservoir which pumps fresh water all the way up to the top into the top tray, and then gravity feeds through all the rest of the trays all the way to the bottom, eventually getting to this lower tray which sits in another drain tray, and that feeds all the wastewater into the gutter into this reservoir, which needs to be checked daily just to keep it from overflowing. So this is definitely full. We're gonna take this out by lifting the gutter just ever so slightly. This piece of wood right here is just a shim to keep the system level. Carefully carry this over to the sink. And I'll drain this and add just a little bit of water back after it's washed to dilute a little bit of bleach with it. If the fresh water needs to be filled, I'll just show you how to do that real quick. This usually needs to be filled every 3 days. So it starts here in the back. The double outlet runs the lights, the hydroponic lights, and the pump. So I'll disconnect the pump. Disconnect this blue fitting right here.
The pump's still running.
That's the air stone. Once those are disconnected, you can lift up the lid. There's an air stone in here to keep the water fresh. Pop that off, set it aside. Air hose comes out, and then you're free to bring it over to the sink and fill it. Try not to fill it up too high because it gets heavy and then things start to slosh by the time you walk it back over here. So once it's full, just reverse those steps before hooking it up. Lift the lid up and fish the air hose right down here. That pops back on. And then before plugging it in, I always connect it, because if that button accidentally gets hit, the pump will be in the on position. And this is just hand tight. The adjustment for the flow doesn't need to be touched. It's set right where it needs to be. After your air stone is hooked up and your pump is hooked up to the system, then I come back in, plug it in, and you can push that button to test it.
There's no bucket underneath.
I know.
Oh.
I always test it just to make sure there's no leaks.
If there's a bucket underneath.
Yeah, after the bucket's in. And that's pretty much it for the Fodder system.